If you mix performance and design, then you get something like a MacBook. But if you mix performance plus design and luxury, then you get something like this. Meet the Dell XPS 16, a 16-inch creator/productivity laptop that is aiming to be your next do-it-all machine. But can it really do so? So I have spent almost 3 weeks with this device and I can tell you that the answer is not what you expect. Firstly, let me talk about the design. Now, there are bits that I really like and then there are bits that I absolutely do not like. Firstly, the build quality of this machine is top-notch. You get this thing in an all aluminum chassis and it is very sturdy with no flex at all. Now, although you get no space over here to grab onto the laptop's lid, but you can pick it up despite that. And lifting the lid is fairly easy. You can lift the lid with just one hand, which is also very nice. Meanwhile, the keyboard also looks very distinct. I mean, it is unlike I have ever seen. And the typing experience on it is just top notch. Like the keyboard is silent, the key size is big, the key travel is also deep enough, and if you open this laptop, I guarantee you that every other laptop kept aside it immediately starts feeling old just because of this keyboard alone. However, this very cool looking function row key is really not that good. In fact, it is the opposite. First of all, many times this light just goes out, making it impossible to see what's happening. There is no feedback while pressing, so you don't know which key you are pressing unless you look down. And also, if you are in the sunlight, you can't see these keys at all, even if they are turned on. But then again, you have this amazing touchpad that seamlessly blends with the rest of the deck area. Now, don't get confused, all of this may look like one single panel, but it is not. The touchpad is about this big and it also has haptic feedback as well. Just like you see on MacBooks, and the overall feel of it is very pleasant to use. Like the vibrations feel very premium and you will have a lot of fun while using this thing. Lekin, the IO ports are a disappointment to say the least. Now, I appreciate that I am getting 3 Thunderbolt ports, an SD card slot and a 3.5mm audio jack. But I am not getting an HDMI slot, neither am I getting a USB type A port. Because if I aim to use this laptop, let's say while giving a presentation, then I need an HDMI port. And no, I'm not going to carry around a dongle because I have already spent rupees 3.72 lakh buying this machine. And it is not that this laptop is very thin or anything, because it is a 16-inch device with around 18.7mm thickness. And I have seen laptops thinner and smaller than this which have these ports. So not giving those ports over here simply has no excuse. But what cheers me up on the laptop is this 16.3-inch 4K plus OLED display, which is also touch enabled. Now, despite being glossy, it has minimal reflections and it also attracts very few smudges, which is a good thing considering that this display is the one which I'll be touching very often. Viewing angles are also pretty fantastic, the colors are punchy, and because of the 4K plus resolution, every detail that you see on this display feels crystal clear. The display is also very bright at 406 nits and it also has 114% sRGB and 100% DCI-P3 color space coverage. Now, do remember, because since the resolution is jacked up to 4K plus, the maximum refresh rate available on this machine is just 90 Hz. I checked and no, there is no way to lower the resolution and increase the frame rate at the same time, as we have seen in some other gaming laptops. So what you see is what you get. Now let's talk about the performance. So with the laptop comes an Intel Core Ultra 9 185H. It also comes with an Intel Core Ultra 7 variant, and the difference between these two is more than rupees 52,000. Even though everything else on both models is exactly the same. In Cinebench R23, the laptop scored 1807 in single core and 18309 in multi-core score, which is significantly less than the AMD Ryzen AI 9 370HX in the Zephyrus G16. Moreover, in terms of content creation, the Zephyrus G16 also scores well, scoring more than the Dell XPS 16 in PC Marks 10, photo and video editing and rendering tests as well. And I think that's mainly because the iGPU performance on the AMD is relatively better. Also in terms of heat, the Core Ultra 9 in this thing is running pretty hot, literally running at 100 degrees Celsius. If I were to guess, then I think that to limit the fan noise, the laptop is instead being throttled. But as a result, you are losing out on performance. But the Dell XPS 16 impressed me with around 9.5 hours of battery life, similar to Samsung Galaxy Book 4 Pro, even though it lacks a GPU and has a less powerful Core Ultra 7 CPU. Even in terms of memory speed, the Asus Zephyrus G16 wins over the Dell XPS, and in the case of memory latency as well, the G16 is the winner. And in terms of SSD speed too, the G16 outperforms the XPS 16 despite costing twice as much. Now in terms of graphics, the XPS 16 also comes with an RTX 4060 GPU which has 8GB GDDR6 VRAM. Now I compared it to another creator/gaming laptop, the ROG Zephyrus G16 and the Ryzen AI 9, and almost all the other specs are similar. And here's the result. In 3D Mark's Firestrike and TimeSpy GPU benchmarks, the Dell XPS 16 lags behind the Zephyrus G16. In Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the G16 scored 137 FPS. Meanwhile, the XPS 16 scored 98 FPS. In Gears 5, the G16 scored 135 FPS while the XPS 16 scored 81.9 FPS. Finally, in Borderlands 3, the XPS 16 scored 68 FPS while the G16 scored 78.49 FPS. So, in conclusion, the Dell XPS 16 frankly turns out as an overpriced creator laptop in a market which is already teaming up with options that are not only more affordable but also offer better performance. And even with such a heavy price tag, the XPS 16 has a few misses that are pretty hard to ignore. Like a very minimal I/O, a not so functional function row, and throttle performance. I really feel like the Dell should take some hints from its G series gaming laptops on how it can improve upon the design, performance and the overall value for money factor for the XPS 16 series as well. So that was it for the review. If you have any questions, let me know them in the box below and I will see you guys next time.